Okay, my friends, this video is for those who are starting seeds indoors and are now at this point realizing these aren't looking so good. They're either just kind of not really doing anything, or maybe they got a really long stem that's kind of thin and looks brittle, and it's got two little tiny leaves up top. It's searching for something, okay? You can tell the difference by looking at the plants. You can just intuitively tell the difference between a healthy, strong, vibrant plant that's got a nice, stout stem with leaves that are praying up towards the sky like this, as opposed to one that is just kind of barely surviving, okay? And unfortunately, guys, here's some reality. Most people's seedlings that I see are just surviving. I mean, very few actually have thriving seedlings. And it can all be boiled down to these 5 factors. So here we go. If you're noticing that your seedlings are not looking vibrant and healthy, you have to examine these 5 aspects, okay? Plants need 5 things to thrive: lighting, water, air, nutrients, and it all has to happen at the appropriate temperature, all right? So the first of these is light. Let us examine your lighting setup. Now, if you watch my video about about my seed starting setup, then you have nothing to worry about with the light because you have plenty of lighting. But most people, and this is number 1 because contrary to popular belief, the only food for a plant is sunlight. It doesn't matter how much fertilizer you give it. That's actually not food. That's more like a vitamin. The only food for a plant is light. And so you're not giving it enough food. So it'll grow long stems searching for sunlight, okay? These are not like house plants. These require full-on the radiance of the sun. That's what they require. They do not want to be just barely seeking out some little artificial light, all right? So if you've got any of those lights, which is just like the little LED ones that just kind of come over the plants, and you see those ones that look like they're octopus, you know, they got like 4 arms with a little bulb on it. Those are not going to do it, okay? You're just not. I mean, you probably think you're having success because the plants are surviving, and they will, but they're not going to thrive. And it starts all the way from the infancy of the plant. If it has an ill infancy, it's not going to thrive as an adult. It needs to have health all the way through. And so lighting is number 1. If you just got them in a window, unless it's a south-facing window, that's not going to be enough light, okay? So examine your light, get enough lumens. Go to the store, get you the LED shop lights that is 10,000 or 12,000 lumens each, and 4K or above as far as light spectrum. Totally adequate. You don't need specialized grow lights. I go through this in my other video about seed starting setup. So get you the proper lights and then put them right down on top of the plants, okay? It's very difficult, actually impossible, to mimic the sun perfectly. It's difficult to even mimic it at all. So they need intense light. That's going to be number 1. If there's a long stem in between the first 2 leaves, that means they're seeking for light. If they're a real thin, weak stem, that means they're seeking for light. Or that can also be a combination of the next thing, water. Most people want to drench their seedlings. They think that it needs watered all the time. It needs a constant flow. It doesn't really need like this. So this is an aspect that has to be fine-tuned, okay? You have to just see for yourself. You want the medium to be saturated, but not waterlogged. So if you have good drainage, if you're doing in soil blocks like I had shown in one of my videos, you got nothing to worry about, because they're not going to be able to, unless they're sitting in standing water, they're not going to be able to be overwatered, all right? So make sure you're not underwatering them. Now, let me finish that point. If you've got like red solo cups without drainage, forget about it. They're going to be swamped out. Or if you got red solo cups with just one tiny little hole that could get plugged up, they're probably going to be swamped out. Now, if you see mold on the top of your growing medium, that's indicative of one of 2 things. First thing is too much water. Second thing is there was already the mold spores present in the growing medium. So you need to clean your act up a little bit. But for the most part, I see people either over or under watering them. So it's either looks like soupy mud or it looks like just dried out blocks of styrofoam. And you pick it up and it's just, it almost floats out of your hand. It's like negative weight. That's how you know that you need to add more water, okay? They need to be properly hydrated. But if you have proper drainage, meaning it can free flow away when it's done, when it's saturated, then that's ideal. The growing medium will hold the critical capacity of water because of surface tension and all these things we won't get into. But the growing medium will hold as much water as it needs. It just has to be able to have that water, but also drain any excess water freely, okay? Drainage. Next thing is air. I see a lot of people trying to grow in those little greenhouses indoors, even with a little light, so they don't have enough light, but then they're trying to grow in those enclosed plastic greenhouses. You know what I'm talking about. Now, those can be good. They can be good, mostly for hardening things off outdoors, but they don't allow airflow for the most part. So the plants need, there's what is called a microclimate. So here, say this is a leaf of the plant. Well, around the plant is a microclimate, a real thin layer of carbon dioxide and oxygen, okay? Because the plant consumes carbon dioxide and makes sugars out of it and then releases oxygen in the process. Now, if there isn't an air current moving that away and supplying fresh carbon dioxide to it and taking away the oxygen, it's not going to be able to get the nutrients that it needs from the air. And that will help mold and fungus spores to thrive, is lack of air circulation. So again, if you've got little weak seedlings, they're probably, and they just everything looks like it's kind of mildewing or molding or kind of like it's outside from like a swamp or a bog or something. It's going to be lack of airflow, not enough light, and too much water. That's the common, really. Not enough light, too much water, not enough airflow, okay? Now, the next thing, number 4, is nutrients. Now, plants need a balanced form of nutrients, and they need it in a form that is available to the plant. So, contrary to popular belief, something like chicken manure is not automatically available to the plant. It has to be first digested by microorganisms, and then other microorganisms have to eat those ones, and blah, blah, blah. It's a complex chain, a web. And then it is in a form that the plant can absorb by the roots. Now, at the end of this, well, actually in the next video that I'm going to link to, I will show you exactly how to make the ideal fertilizer for your seedlings. Beyond fertilizer, it's just the best substance you should be giving your seedlings, okay? But that's beyond the scope of this video, so that I'll link to that. That'll be the next one. And don't even consider giving it like 10-10-10 or any of that chemical fertilizers. That's going to make it addicted straight away. It's going to become dependent on chemical fertilizers, and that's just not what you want. And that's how people burn stuff. That's how their plants are doing ill, because they feed it too much. Well, I just fed it Miracle Grow. Yeah, well, that's why. That's just like rocket fuel that will make your plants ill, because it throws the balance off of everything. All right. So the next thing, so with newts, okay, I'm going to show you the thing, and that's all that you'll need to do. Okay, you don't have to have any real specialized nutrient solution for seedlings. Now, the final thing is that it all has to happen at the right temperature. Okay, this is big time, and anyone that's ever grown microgreens or grown sprouts or grown anything really, if you observe properly, you will see that the rate of growth and the vigorousness of a plant is in direct proportion to the temperature. For example, something can, like a collard green seed, it can sprout when the soil's 40 degrees, 45 degrees, and it can grow when it's that, 45, 50 degrees, but it'll grow very slowly, very, very slowly. As opposed to if the soil's 75 or 80, it will sprout very fast and grow very fast. Now, a lot of people, if they have it like out in their garage, their seed starting setup, it's too cold. Or in their basement, it's too cold. Okay, so that's gonna slow everything down. And for seed starting, we need it to be nice and warm and fluffy and air circulation. And think, you know, a tropical beach somewhere is the kind of atmosphere that you want. All right, so it needs to be nice and warm, preferably with the heat mat, but if you watch my video, you will understand that. Okay, my friends, and now since you have watched the video this long, now is the part where I give you the best tip of all, the greatest advice you could possibly get on fixing your ill seedlings, okay? And that is this: start over. I know, but you are going to have such, okay, so say you have started your seedlings and they're all leggy and stretched out. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, move the lights closer and then repot them to a bigger pot and then do this and do that and add this or add that. No, my friends, unless you have some kind of super rare exotic plant that is impossible to get more seeds of, just return those plants to the compost pile and start fresh ones. Because if you've watched one of the first videos I made about seed starting, you will know that plants want to have a perfectly linear growth pattern. They don't want to sprout and then stay all sick and then be struggling for weeks or something and then be nursed along and then go outside and they're just like, ah. No, they want to just grow. They want to sprout and have all the conditions they need, the right light, the right nutrients, the right water, so they can just, and then you transplant them and they have barely a little bit of shock when they go outside and then they just keep growing, okay? So just start over, and it doesn't matter, the season is long enough, just start over, and those plants that you start now will be so much stronger and healthier because you'll have the environment right, because you're going to do the tips in this video. They will grow right past the ones that has been nursed along for all these weeks, okay? So just start over if they're too bad. So we need the environment to be appropriate lighting, the good amount of water, not too much or too little, proper airflow, the nutrients, which I'm going to show you how to make in the next video, and all has to happen at the appropriate temperature, okay? If you keep your house at 70, then that will work, all right? Then that's probably not the culprit. But if it's in your basement or something, it's probably too cold. We need to speed up all that stuff, because in the coldness is where all the molds and the bacterias and the damping off, that stuff will thrive faster than your plant, okay? So I hope this helped you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, check out this video here.